Former plantation homes like this one actually saw a specific audience for many years, and now we are trying to transform and make sure that we tell our public we are a place for everyone. Everyone needs to see themselves here and feel a sense of belonging. We are a museum that was actually founded in 1993, so we're going to be 30 years old, but our house was built in 1801 and took a span of 6 years to complete. It was a Calvert and Steer property where we had members of the Steer family who came here from Antwerp in present-day Belgium, who were actually fleeing from the Reign of Terror under Napoleon. They came here, they brought with them at least like 14 enslaved people, and then over time, when we think about enslaved people being bequeathed, bought and sold, by the end of emancipation, we had upwards of 55 enslaved people here. We are a museum that's going through a transformation, and we're decentering the story of the white slaveholding family, but making sure that we share that space. We're not erasing, we are actually adding to and enhancing the stories of the enslaved. So we want to make sure that we're telling the voices of individuals who typically don't get to see the light of day in the narratives that we tell, whether that be through our exhibitions, through our tours, our public programming. We just want to give them credence because they would have been the overwhelming majority here. My first involvement was at the Maryland State Archives, where we were a repository that was within the network for the National Capital Region. Our repository had numerous records from various counties across the state that lent itself to the story of the flight to freedom. We were able to look at penitentiary records, original newspapers, censuses for comparison, and so many other records, even down to slave statistics, which is traditionally a Maryland-centered record. You don't see that in any other state. But of course, after emancipation, people are trying to be compensated for the loss of enslaved labor. And all of the owners are putting the names down of individuals, and there are instances where you see them noting that this person has run off, but they're still expecting a compensation, which they never get, but they are looking for compensation. And so it gives us a large swath of people to identify as people who had actually escaped at some point in time. And so it's really helpful to have that information and then to turn around and be able to support other entities who are looking to join the network. I had a in and out movement with that process of setting up the byway and the visitor center, because of course I was on staff at the Maryland State Archives, and then somewhere in between I decided to go back to grad school and I needed internship credits. So I was already connected with the work for setting up the byway, sitting in on the meetings, community meetings, state of Maryland employee meetings. And I said, if you guys could find a way to just bring me in as an intern, I would greatly appreciate it. And so I had a shared internship between the Office of Tourism and the Department of Natural Resources, where people like Ann Kyle and Marcy Ross, we did a lot of GPS spotting and tracking to make sure that we can plot the points of the byway. We once actually had a flat tire, and another person in the network, Kathy Mackle, actually caught us on the side of the road on the Eastern Shore and helped us use Fix-A-Flat and get our tire back together so that we can get back. That's one of the main things that I think has been really awesome about the network. It puts us all in touch with each other. Sometimes you may be like a site like mine at Riversdale, where you have Adam Francis Plummer here. Maybe there's a connection with Adam Francis Plummer at a historic church somewhere else. Maybe there's another home in New York State or Connecticut or something where he has a family member. There was an individual that I just discovered, Alcis Blanford, and he actually was a baby essentially when his parents escaped from Maryland. And to be able to connect that with us, it was just so amazing. And he was a painter, he was in the newspaper. It was just like awesome to kind of see this person that you don't even know exists, on someone else's website, and the research is there, and you're like, I need to come back and see what we can do to kind of help merge that story and give it a fuller life, because I don't think they knew what his earlier life was in Maryland, and we were able to provide that information and vice versa. So it's a two-way street, and I think that's been very helpful. I think they promoted change in the trajectory of the Underground Railroad and what we know about it by making information more accessible. I think the more accessibility we have, the better. People can get it at their fingertips. Before this, and many other avenues of research related to accessibility, people would have to travel to these different repositories. And if you're in Kentucky and you're on a fixed income, it's not so easy to come out to Maryland and do the research for yourself. So by having this network, we don't all have to be in the same room. We could just go to the same website and download that information and get put in touch with another resource that I may not have known exists. You know, like we all bring different things to the table, and I think it helps us push the narrative of the fight to freedom.